hello everyone. I have Susann Goerg on the line here. Susann, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. As you can see, the sun is glowing onto me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fall day here in Philadelphia. I'm sure it's pretty much the same up in New York. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's amazing. Cold but sunny, so it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, thank you for joining the FounderGPS podcast. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about what you do in your business, your interior design, and really with an art-forward mindset and really unique way that you approach interior design. And so really excited to learn more about that. So Susann, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
So I'm a residential interior designer. I'm based in New York City, and I mostly work with private homeowners, but we also do some brand and immersive experiences where my skill set and expertise kind of overlap. So we work in New York City area, New Jersey, and we always say virtually nationwide because, with the technology today, everything is possible.
Yeah. Are most of your clients in New York area?
New York and New Jersey. Somehow, surprisingly, we have more clients in New Jersey, which is fun to work with because they have a whole house. We can work our way through instead of maybe just an apartment, so it gives us a little bit more freedom and creativity to work on bigger projects.
Nice. Now, I know you served as a creative director in the advertising industry right before moving into interior design. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, your career, and what it was like starting the company?
Yes, it's actually an interesting one because originally when you're a kid, a teenager, when you're trying to find out what I want to do, what's my passion. And back then, I actually was so much involved in always rearranging my parents' house and my brothers in my bedroom, rearranging the furniture, making it as efficient and beautiful as it can be with the limited resources. One night he wouldn't even find his bed in the same place. So I always had a thing of making spaces functional and as beautiful as they can be. But growing up in East Germany, actually, there wasn't a career in interior design. It simply didn't exist. So the next best thing that fulfilled the same passion for creating beautiful things was graphic design. And so I went into graphic design, studied graphic design. From there on, I went on to more the creative side, the conceptual side of the business of the advertising industry, to really also be conceptual about it, not just executing resources as a designer, but like being part of the concept and what we are trying to communicate and express. And that actually eventually brought me to New York City, the former mecca of the advertising industry. So that was my first career. And from there on, I worked probably like a decade in advertising, but eventually my passion kept bubbling up. So in 2018, I think, over the holidays, I had a really moment to sit with myself and consider, do I want my life to look like this the next 5-10 years, the passion bubbling up. And I don't like to live with what ifs, so I took the leap and quit the industry and started my interior design business while also, studying on the side, but working for my first clients, which were friends and ex-colleagues, and that's how it all started.
That's amazing. Yeah. So were you running? Were you doing interior design, working with your clients on the side while also still working at the advertising agency, or did you make a complete cutover?
Hard cut, no plan B.
Wow, that's amazing. Kudos to you for having the guts to just go for it and just no plan B. I love that.
Well, some people might call it naive, but I don't know. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and it's almost like you have to make it work. And
Exactly.
There was also no way that I wanted to keep working in advertising, so I had to make the hard cut. And as you might know, the advertising industry is very demanding and, time and energy, so it would have been impossible to do both, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there seems to be a lot of similarities. Would you agree between graphic design, interior design? Did you find that transition challenging? Was it easier than you expected? What was that experience like?
I think from the skill set and from the knowledge, as you say, there are a lot of overlaps. When you think about color theory, balance, harmonies, and then also working in advertising on, TV sets and how a TV spot looks like, all those things come into play. So from a skill set, visual design perspective, it was easy. Obviously, I needed some more basics like architectural drafting and stuff like that, or the history of furniture. But that's what I all was able to learn, in a class, in a course of interior design. But I mean, the harder part is really running your own business. And when you jump in, you don't know what you're doing. Like you just take step by step. You don't know what you're supposed to do first. I made the mistake. I was like finessing my logo and my business name for so long, working on like those silly details that don't really matter that much, instead of just, getting started and doing the important things like getting clients, building relationships. It's not about how your website looks. It's more about really getting your feet wet and getting started.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like I think there's a lot, as a creative business owner myself, I think that's something that we all kind of fall into that trap where, you kind of are dreaming, about the logo and the brand and the website and the fonts and the colors, and as creatives, we all like all that stuff. We want to fuss over that, but until you actually sell something and get a client and figure out those real like initial business operational stuff is that's when you have a business, right? When you're exchanging time or a product for money, and then that's when the real work starts, I think. So
Yeah. People always say if you don't make money with it, it's a hobby, right? So,
that's true. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's fascinating. So some of those early challenges related to the business. What were some of those?
early challenges.
Yeah, I mean, you said you had a couple of clients right off the bat. Who were those early clients? Maybe.
Well, there were more friends and colleagues, right? So
Yeah.
they allowed
Sure.
me to
Yeah.
work on their space and maybe get those first portfolio pieces, getting some testimonials, and also practicing my skills because I've never done it for anyone else before. I've done it for my spaces, but not for anyone else. And getting in the groove of understanding what they want and what story we want to tell in their space. It's not just making things pretty, and building those processes and procedures and making sure it's not about me but about them was really important in the beginning. And you learn something with every project still. All these years later, every project teaches you something, and you start implementing it into the next one. And it's an ongoing thing. It's not like, okay, now you're set, you have your processes, your automations, your forms, or your presentation decks. You have to be always evolving. So I think a lot of people underestimate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And with every new level, like every new, there's a quote a client told me a while ago: "New levels, new devils." So there's
Yep.
always new challenges and headaches that you got to deal with as a business owner. So, was there a moment that you felt like you're like, "Wow, I'm really doing this. I'm a business owner. I'm feeling good about things." Was there a particular moment where kind of that light bulb went off when you were really proud of your work, or you felt like you were kind of on your way there?
I think the I think what you're saying leads me a little bit to the thought of that, like, imposter syndrome, right? Like, it's still there, but it's less there now. But in the beginning, when you just work for friends, you don't feel like you're a proper interior designer, or if you don't have the like 4, 5, 6 year college education. So most designers have, you don't feel you can compete or you're at the same level with them. But eventually I found out that my path and my perspective is actually valuable and can bring a fresh perspective to the industry. It doesn't need to be the same as everyone else does it. And I think a long time I was searching for, now how they say, your focus and your niche. That took me the longest time to get to a place. What do I want to stand for? What is it that we can do different? And what can we really bring to our clients that is special and they cannot find anywhere else?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about processes, client systems. Can you tell us like a little bit about, the types of clients you work with? What does a typical engagement look like? How do you go about, I guess, working with them? What does that process look like?
Yeah. So most of our clients are very busy. They really want a space that represents them and is also a representation of where they might want to go, not just who they are right now, but it's also they want to feel inspired in their spaces. They don't want it to look like their neighbor's space. They want a piece of them to be represented with it. So for us, it's really important to understand in the beginning, what are we trying to achieve here? It's not just about making it beautiful. I almost fight off the term beautiful, but because sometimes it feels so surface level. What does that really mean, right? So instead of a style, we really dive into the story. So a lot of interior designers, they're known for a certain style, like mid-century or Scandinavian or traditional. That doesn't really matter to us. I mean, we can do all, if we know what we are trying to accomplish. And so for us, it's really about getting to know the client. We have a real detailed questionnaire. We try not to make it too long, but, asking the right questions and also reading between the lines of what they're saying without us asking is often very beneficial. So aside from a general clarity call and conversation, we always send that questionnaire via email so they can access it and they can say things they might not say to us face to face, that they just want to, write down and maybe don't feel comfortable expressing face to face, because a lot of times you don't know the people and it's a very personal connection. So you might see what's in their drawers, A lot of times clients are like,
Right.
I don't want to even show you my place. It's just not organized. I'm like, I've seen everything. Don't you worry, So it's all about understanding what our goal is with the space and what they want it to be. It's, as I said, not just about making it beautiful. That's the easy. It needs to function first. It needs to express who they are. They need to feel proud of it. A lot of times it's, high-achieving professionals that work in C-level suite. They want also a home they can invite clients to, or, the close friend circle, host dinner parties, or wine tasting. So we want to make sure we cover both bases, that they feel comfortable, inspired, but also that they can feel proud of it, just like what they have done a lot of times with their career.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I don't know a lot about interior design. In terms of like the types of deliverables that you're giving to a client, are you providing almost like a style guide of sorts for their home? Are you making recommendations on specific products? Are you picking out things? Like, what does that look like?
So ideally, we work with clients on the full service, product package to
Okay.
either create certain work on certain rooms in the house, maybe just the first floor, for example, or the whole house, or in the city, like a whole apartment. And it's usually full service, which means coming up with the concept and having a presentation, picking the right direction we want to go. From there, we go more into the detailed design, where we then actually proposing and choosing every single piece of that would go into the space, including what wall colors, wallpapers, finishes. And then when we are all aligned on that, we go into the implementation and execution phase, which then means we take over for the client so they don't have to worry about the details. We take over ordering every piece they need in the space. And, the delivery schedule, if something goes wrong, we take responsibility and fix it. So it's a full package. Some clients have chosen in the past not to do the implementation, to, work with their own contractors to make it happen, or order some pieces themselves. But we have found that those projects are not as successful because then the contractor might go rogue, and not implement it as we intended to. So the project doesn't come to a full fruition of what it could have been.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, speaking of which, do you work with, outside contractors? You tend to not try to do that, but what about like architects, design build companies? Like, do you partner with other companies like that, or are you mainly working directly with clients?
We try to be the first resource for the client to have that relationship. But if there's already a contractor or an architect that is already part of their project, we like to team up with them early on so everyone can be on the same page and there's not like hierarchies and miscommunication. So ideally, we want to be brought on or bring on the right resources like an architect early on if needed to really have the outcome we all want. It's not that we are fighting for attention or against each other, but we all want to deliver a great product to the client. So we do work with architects and contractors or wallpaper companies. Design build firms, not so much, because a lot of times they offer design services.
Okay, right.
Unless they would hire us as the design part, then we would be directly working with them and they would offer it to their clients usually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. You mentioned something earlier about, kind of art forward design, art as an asset. How do you go about incorporating art into a design?
So that's really what I talked about, the focus or the niche, what we really have zoned in on. And when I finally found what I can do differently for our clients than other design studios, is really that bringing art into the process right from the beginning. So when we were working on a project, it's part of the early conversations because a lot of times either a client already has an art collection or they want to start collecting.
Yeah.
Although some are shy to say they're collectors, but as soon as you have two pieces, you're a collector. So
sure, yeah.
But it becomes part of the design process and also part of the investment and the budgeting for it, because a lot of times when it's treated as an afterthought, and a lot of designers in the industry, unfortunately, just put something decorative on the walls at the end of the project, so they treat it as an accessory. Mm-hmm. For us, we have found it's a lost opportunity to really help create and tell that story. So we really put it at the beginning as part of the process. And for us, it's all about creating that dialogue between the space and the artwork. Because if you have a piece of art, you want it to be presented in its best possible way so it can make the impact you desire. And if you create the space around it that we can achieve that, both things get elevated. The interior space and the artwork, so both can shine much brighter, I guess, if you want to put it like that.
I love that.
But, so that's been really what we have honed and zoned in on. We work with artists. We have built a lot of relationships with galleries. And actually, not too long ago, we kind of brought that whole idea to life, almost like a marketing initiative, which was called The Apartment. So art in there called out. And it was all about transforming a white box gallery, as you might know them, white walls, everything. So here in New York City in Soho, we transformed the whole gallery into a New York City apartment.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's such a
For
great creative idea. Yeah.
so many gray areas, yes, to make this happen.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to see the space transform and inviting people in to experience how it feels to live with artwork. Even if that artwork is not what they will purchase, obviously we curated it together with the roster of artists the gallery has.
Yeah.
But creating a full apartment that tells the story and can help direct your mood and your point of view throughout your day and whatever you're doing. Like in a dining space, for example, you want something to either be, I don't want to say appetizing, but something fun, maybe
Yeah.
you can talk about with your guests or that inspires you to cook and have good conversations. And we also had a party corner back there. So you want something that, resembles or brings in the party mode. And then upstairs we had a whole sleeping loft that was very sensual with like burgundy tones and a Zen zone. So we had really the opportunity to invite people in and let them experience how it feels to live with art. Some people even ask like, so how much is a night or the monthly rent here? So we can stay over. So that was really fun. But it brought in a lot of people and they were looking through the big windows for the 6 weeks the project was on. They were like, is this a furniture store now? What happened? Everything looked like an apartment, So it really achieved its goal of creating that space. And even today, the gallery sets their space up more with pieces of furniture and little vignettes and scenarios, how artwork and piece of furniture or table can work together.
Yeah, I think that really adds a lot, rather than just, it's more, maybe makes the space more engaging, add some, context to the artwork. I like that. I like the idea of partnering with art galleries. That's really cool. Have you had any, mentors or, coaches along the way that have kind of helped you, either on your business journey or interior design journey?
During my Ed World times, my first career, I always called it the dark side. The dark side.
Yeah. Right.
Of course, I had a mentor that came from while I was studying and had some resources I could like reach out to and ask questions. But I feel like that's now been so long gone.
Yeah.
Things have completely changed. I have completely changed. What has been really helpful, which you also know, is the Future Pro group I was part of for a long time. So I would say Chris definitely has been a mentor for a long time that helped me push beyond some of my comfort zone and allowed me to grow faster and, imagine bigger things for myself and the business. And, being able to meet him in person was also great. Just having those resources that you usually would not have is really beneficial. And also the people who are in the group and, building relationships with a few of them has been really beneficial. And then at some point you look also beyond that because, as you said, every level comes with another devil. At some point, you might feel like you have gotten there what you wanted, and then you just look at other resources like Daniel Priestley or Alex Hormozy, just like what can you take and apply to yourself, or how can you push yourself further in the right direction to grow to the next level.
Yeah, and I think, and you have to. I think entrepreneurship and just owning a business and running a business can be kind of lonely sometimes too, a little bit. I find like you're faced with challenges every single day, and people who have a full-time job working for a company, they don't get it totally all the time. So it's nice to be able to, chat, network, and kind of share, share a little bit. So
Absolutely, because most of my friends still have worked in corporate and in advertising. They could not understand or help me with what I'm going through. Absolutely not. As you said, it's a very lonely endeavor. And if you don't find eventually someone you can speak about it or get a different perspective, you're just, in your own little head the whole time.
yeah,
And
with
that's
the
not
blinders
moving
on,
forward.
right?
Yeah, that's discouraging.
Yeah. I would imagine though in New York, there's probably a very vibrant design community, interior design community specifically, right? Do you network? I mean, are you part of any groups, or do you meet with other interior designers?
Yes, that's a very interesting question because I always talk about that. I think to a certain extent, it's good to have connections and friends in the industry,
Yeah.
but I also try to limit it because sometimes it ends up like complaining about things,
Right, right.
talking about the same things. Obviously, there's, helpful things as well, but an experience some designers share, not everyone is open in sharing what they have experienced or resources. I don't
Yeah.
find, I would not say the interior design community is known for that. And then also that point of we're just talking to each other, is that really that beneficial?
Yeah.
Because the most important thing I need my time and energy on, except making my clients happy, is building new connections, partnerships, and relationships and
Yeah.
finding new clients. So if you're just in the interior design community, that's not going to do it. You got to
No, no.
look outside. You got to maybe find other groups and see what they are doing for marketing to do things differently, because a lot of times the same things don't work the same way. So I still, believe in having some of those connections, but I try to branch out and create those really useful relationships and partnerships, especially with showrooms, for example,
Yeah.
of them, to build the connection with them, be able to trust them, because there are a lot of options in the market for furniture. Which one are you going to work with, And if you keep visiting the showrooms, they create a lot of events. You go there, you work with them, you put together proposals for clients. If you have built that connection and trust them, it allows you to serve your clients better. And also to maybe host events there, which I did a few months ago, to have an opportunity to create my own speaking panel in
Yeah.
an amazing showroom. So I think it's more beneficial to look outside than just stay in the bubble,
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a risk of like homogenization, or, like just groupthink and kind of the similar pathways. So you really need to get out, especially in a creative field. You need to kind of talk to different kinds of people and different industries. And you mentioned marketing. I mean, are most of your do most of your business come from referrals and relationships, or are you doing any advertising or like outbound? I'm just always curious about marketing, what other business owners are doing.
So am I.
Yeah.
So tell me your secrets.
Yeah, yeah,
The industry is very much known for its referral based and word of mouth. And I can mostly attest to that. The challenge comes when your business evolves to another level of clientele, and the clients that could refer you are not at where you're going. So there's a discrepancy between where you're going and what kind of returns you might be getting, right? So that's a little bit of the challenge I have been in as I transition from Happy Homes Design to now using my name and being more leaning into the art forward and my perspective.
yeah,
But referrals, connections, trustworthy connections, I do try to do a lot of collaborations and partnerships with the gallery, for example, transforming the gallery, putting my point of view out there, building that authority, being known for integrating art and interior design, and also speaking up about it, poking the industry a little bit,
Yeah.
get more people to do the same and put more value onto artwork as part of the whole design and the process. And writing content, trying to be featured in press and media.
Yeah.
Those things are definitely helpful to build the trust and the visibility. Direct in purchase marketing or something like that, we have not seen really the benefits of that.
I mean, I can definitely see, just like in the nature of your business, referrals, just being present. I love the partnerships. I love the gallery collaboration that you did. That's so smart. And probably like PR. So like you mentioned, being featured in magazines and things like that probably go pretty far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's probably 60% of the business,
yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
people always think, oh, interior design must be so fun, just picking color swatches and fabric. That's like 11% of what I do. Everything else is, the processes, the ordering, the marketing, IT service, serving our clients, building the relationships with brands and vendors, knowing the products we are suggesting to our clients. You gotta have to sit on a sofa before telling your client this is a good sofa. So all that goes into that is, what most time and energy goes into. The design is easy, and so little of it. I'm actually glad when I got a day when I can focus fully one day on the design. That's like my dream day,
Yeah, I bet. I agree. So what about a recent project or client, any really fun, interesting projects you just wrapped up, or anything that you're working on in the future?
Yeah, right now, yes, right now, we're in the second phase of a home in New Jersey. I'm super excited about because she's a gallery owner and I know her from before, so we understand each other very well. And I have the opportunity to work with a lot of artwork in the projects. And we have finished phase 1 of the project, which was the dining space, a huge living room, more space out in New Jersey, huge living room,
Mm-hmm.
a nice sunken reading room library. And now we're doing the whole, I like to call it the foyer because it's so big. It's not just an entryway, it's a foyer. And their main bedroom suite, including custom closets. And I haven't done custom closets before, for example. So it's really exciting and interesting to work on things you haven't even worked on and grow in that part as well. Like if you haven't done it, you're like gotta find the right resources and make sure everything is seamless for the client and they get the best results. But also on our end, we are, as I said, every project you're learning something new, and it's super exciting. Being able to do custom pieces is probably one of the more exciting things you can do in interior design, not just buying off the rack or some vendors, but really creating custom for the client to make sure it works perfectly for their space or their challenges. That's really where you want to be,
Amazing. Before we kind of wrap up, I know you have a what you call the home performance assessment. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's almost part of our process. So we're giving a little bit of a secret away there because it helps clients, or not even clients yet, it helps everyone who's interested in making their space better, making it more about them, or everyone who might walk into their home and feel like, I bought all this furniture, but something's off, something's not working. And a lot of times you don't know what is not working, what might be the issue, how can I fix it? So that assessment tool that we created, informed by our intake process, allows everyone to find out what might be wrong and what they could start doing about it to really unlock the full potential of their own. Yeah, so the audience can have free access to that and jump in and answer a few questions and get immediate results. I think it's under 3 or 5 minutes. I think 3 minutes. And you get instant results with categories, what can be improved or not, what's working well, maybe too. So that's what we can share today.
Cool. Is that on your website or?
The link is, you probably can put it in the notes, right? It's called
absolutely.
thehomeperformance.scoreapp.com.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely link that up.
Yep.
Where else can people find more about you, Susann?
So our website, that's almost done. It's Susann Eva Goerg.com. Same with Instagram. Our Instagram handle is the same, just my full name, since we are transitioning there on the previous name of the business. And then if you just put the name into LinkedIn as well, that's where we post most of the content and insights that we can freely share with everyone, and everyone who's interested in making their life better and surrounding themselves with what's important to them. Can also follow us on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Well, Susann, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening today. This was an original production by Shoemaker Films, LLC. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your content. Follow us on Instagram at Shoemaker Films. If you're a business either interested in our services or you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please get in touch by using the contact form on our website, shoemakerfilms.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.